happy Thursday to all. Be sure, hit that subscription button, smash on that like. Thank you for tuning in on this edition of Madman on the Show. Before we start on this whole debacle that's going on again, this whole insanity, just want to apologize that we did not go on the air yesterday. There were a couple of issues that we needed to sit down as a group to discuss. We were discussing the other day on some leaked information out of ESA and stuff like that. There were some former people that used to work with us that had that same thought, and we had to all discuss it with them as a whole. We wanted to look from a security point of view, make sure that we weren't being mentioned or anything of that nature in the paperwork. Number one. Number two, we changed some of our security. We've added some more security to our identifications and stuff like this, on our onlines and stuff like that. We've added a little bit more security. Also, where our studios are located, we do have cameras along our perimeters, but we decided to get someone in to add at least one or two more. We're just taking these precautions now, so that basically, to hit and run anything that will come across us. I mean, I doubt anything will happen, but it is things that others who work with us have questioned recently, and those who work outside that we have working with us, they've also questioned that as well, because basically they themselves have gone through something similar to this. I'm not going to talk about that because that's their own private nature, but they've gone through something similar to this, so they just wanted to make sure that as far as a whole, that we here at QTCast, that we have a safe environment for those who work with us. And also outside QTCast, because we do other jobs outside, editing jobs and stuff like that, we want to make sure our clients also have that safe atmosphere as well. So we do apologize for that, but we're going to kick into this into full gear. I tell you, I've discussed many a times. I mean, we here at QTCast TV, we recommend, we've always says, if you want to talk to us, find us. We're on gabandminds.com. And, you hear these things where people complain about being censored on websites and stuff like that, being censored on Facebook and Twitter and all that. And, people say, well, go make one yourself. And basically, when you go make one yourself, then people start to attack that site and try to have it shut down. In this case, going over Billy D, and one angry gamer, I got to always give it applause to those guys. They always have it on target when it comes to stories that need to be heard. And this is one that needs to be heard, and you need to pass this on to a lot of people. Basically, a lot of people they don't like Gab.com. And, they say, well, it's a place for, that white supremacy and this and that N-word from Germany, that basically they're all right and this and that. I think most of the people, when they hear about these sites that they put in, they don't even go to look at it. They'll click on the first page and then they just venture, or they hear that a particular person, a particular shooter goes to these sites. One thing is, and this is the stupidity, and this is the virtual signaling that goes on day in and day out. Just because, you had a tragedy that just happened in El Paso and in Dayton and many other places that it's happened throughout. Just because they are the shooter themselves, or the person that's accused of the situation, that they basically, they're on this site and many other sites on there, and they said, well, we got to shut them down because it's a site for this thing. We are individuals. We believe what we want to believe on the situations. That's why in this country, we have those rights It's in the Bill of Rights and everything like that. You can't stifle, freedom of speech. That's the one thing. Now, understand, there are bad people in the world. It happens. There is evil in this world. Always has been, always will be. We can do our best to try to get rid of it, best we can, best as possible. But there's always going to be one that gets by. And the thing about it is the major problem is that there are signs out there. When the signs, they tell you when you see something, say something. People's just afraid. Oh, I'm going to get sued, such and such. But the Parkland shooter. There were a lot of signs out there, and nobody did anything to remedy the situation, and a lot of people ended up dead. And as we look further into the last two here, we're finding more and more things about it that maybe we could have stopped this, before it, escalate to this level. But the other thing is is to stop virtual signal and blaming everything. I mean, everything from video games to online sites. And one of the things that we bring up here is that, like I said, we've talked about Gab before. Amazon shuts down Gab's investing subdomain after journalists notify Amazon. See, here's the situation. There is no adjudication, nothing of that nature that says that Gab is a place for white supremacy and stuff like that. I'm on Gab. I don't see that. If it's something I missed, fine. But it's, I'm not saying it's not there. There's probably a couple of knuckleheads in there, and that goes for every site that you're, and they're saying like, well, the El Paso shooter must have had something on there, blah blah blah. The same thing what happened with 8chan the other day, and they're saying, well, the shooter posted on 8chan. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. Yes, the manifesto was posted on 8chan, but it was from a post from Instagram. Now, why hasn't Instagram been shut down for that reason? Why hasn't Twitter been shut down for that reason? Because the one in New Zealand, he had an account, Most people have a Facebook account. They have a Twitter account, Instagram. People have Minds, Gab. We're all over the place these days with a lot of these social media sites. And just because, you get some crazy people, and let me tell you something. If you have not seen this, perfect example is how crazy some people get is look at the Vic Mignogna case. Look at some of the people that are just literally insane on Twitter. Some of them that should be shut down for some of the things, the threats that they make. But they're still on it. They're still up and running. But meanwhile, if someone says, well, a man is not a woman, and then they get shut down and get called alt-right, that's okay. The reason Gab works with Amazon is because of the subdomain name and stuff like that. Amazon does a lot of hosting and stuff like that. And, how many sites, how many companies does Amazon work with? A lot of companies, a lot of media websites and stuff like that. And, you're going to go around sitting around as a journalist saying, well, we need to get them off the air. That's not being a journalist. A journalist would have gone and investigated to see whether or not, what is Gab? What do they do? Who are the people that are on Gab? What kind of people do frequently go there? What people frequently go to Twitter? What people go to Facebook? Because let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what website is up. The crazies are going to go, it's like Chris Rock is like, crazy is crazy. You're going to have crazy everywhere. There was an old routine 10 years ago where he talked about gun control. He goes like, what? People are not crazy anymore? It just literally just when you see situations like this and that, you're told, it says, well, if you don't like being here, go make one yourself. And you go make one of these companies, as Andrew Torben here has done. And basically now they want to shut it down. And this is not the first time they've tried this. There's been many occasions that they've been trying to shut down Gab left and right. And it ain't because of basically the alt-right, white supremacy, and stuff like that. They're becoming a threat to Alphabet, to Twitter, to all the big tech companies in Silicon Valley because they don't want competition. Plain and simple. They are taking the business away from Silicon Valley, which basically, hey, you're always going to need competition. You can't control everything. And, for someone to just go around, and this is not the first time a journalist has interjected, their own politics into a situation and virtual on all these companies. I mean, we got Vox has done this, Anime News Network has done this, BuzzFeed has done this, many different one of these sites, and a lot of these sites are in trouble as it is. They're losing their people. They're laying people off. They're just becoming insane. I mean, literally the other day, something that was said on MSNBC literally has turned them from a news network to be, just that conspiracy network that you would see like The Onion or something like that. Because basically it's just the insanity and the things that you hear on some of these networks, some of these websites now, it just literally, they have completely lost it. And, and they're wondering why they lost the election. Why did they lose into, the election? And why they're probably most likely going to lose 2020 is because of this. There's always got to be competition. We built this country, the way we did for the reasons on there. And we, good competition promotes, basically we improve ourselves. If we make a product and someone else makes a similar product on there, they're both trying to outdo themselves by making a better product, not by trying to put the other one out of business. It's not the first time, even before the internet, there were people that were doing this with products and stuff like that. They were trying to put it into the media or try to put word of mouth. This is, oh no, they're this kind of people. This kind of people work there on there. These sites were created for a place where people can talk and converse with other people. That's what they were originally built upon. Now you have people who says, well, I disagree with that person. Get them off the air. That's wrong. In order to have a good conversation, you must have an A and a B. Or as they say, if you have an A-B conversation, see your way out. And they just have lost themselves. And it's not a big amount of people, believe it or not. It's not a big amount of people. It's a very small, minute group. I'm not saying that, for example, you have the Republicans and the Democrats. I'm not saying that every Republican is good or bad, and I'm not saying every Democrat is good or bad. But, you do have people within, both parties that are just off balance. Now lately, more on the left side, on the Democrats have gone just literally, they've lost it completely. And you're seeing this, in the debates. You're seeing it on the news. This is why MSNBC is failing, CNN is failing, Vox is failing, BuzzFeed. I can go on and on and on. Why these networks? That's why I tell people, it says, you want a good news network? Watch One America News. You even said, the president has praised this network. Take a moment. Well, unfortunately, if you have Comcast, you can't have One America News because basically they don't want One America News because they own CNN. They don't want them on their cable stations on there. But I would go out and look on YouTube. YouTube has some of their broadcasts on there, some of the news that they promote, and this is news day in, day out. This is not the 24-hour news cycle talking about the alt-right, the president, and stuff like that. This is straight on news, straight on journalism, constantly. They have their opinionated shows, and it's not that many of them. Let's put it this way: their main opinionated shows are 2 hours a night. Versus most of the evening is dedicated, even on Fox, is dedicated to opinionated news. You start about 5 p.m. is on the average and runs until about midnight, 1 a.m. Versus 2 hours in the 8 to 10 slot in the One American News Network. But this is not here to promote One American News, really, but it's just basically, I'm just saying, if you're looking for news, that's where you're going to get it. And it's the same thing. Is if you don't want to hear the insanity and craziness on Twitter or Facebook, Gab and Minds is another different way you could see it on there. People have their opinion. And let me tell you something. I've said some stuff on there, on Minds and Gab.com, and people have had conversations. I have great conversations on some of these sites on there. I go to Reddit. They're insane conversations. It's unfreaking believable on this sometimes. It's not like I say I don't get crazy conversations on Minds and Gab, but I'm more of a chance to see it on Facebook, Reddit, or Twitter than I would do Minds and Gab. Right now I'm on my way to 200 subscribers on Minds.com. Gab.com, I'm not getting that many subscribers, but that's understandable because of all the situations that they always keep getting shut down and stuff like that, and they're always trying to push them out of the business. But the president has already said he's going to sign some sort of proclamation or something of the nature that's going to help. There are several investigations going on, antitrust investigations, many different others, and that's going on right now. And hopefully this will remedy the situation. And this includes YouTube also. One thing I've always said on this show, share this show. Share, if you like this episode, send it to somebody. Send it to a friend. Send it to a family member. Tell it how important it is for them to see it. If they don't like it, fine. That's their opinion. But I tell you, if you like it, smash that like button down. Let them know. Let them see at YouTube what people want to see. And not only mine. You go on the right of your screen, you'll see a listing of my favorite people that I love on YouTube that I've always recommended. People like Kitten Academy, Yellow Flash, Blind Wave, Brandon Tennant. There are a lot of great shows here on YouTube done by young and independent creators here. I'm new. Like I said, I'm still new to YouTube. I'm only a couple of years in, but I've done this before, and I've seen the interaction of problems of like this similar in a different atmosphere. There are lawsuits still going on with the public access from years ago that are still coming through the courts right now because of all the stuff they pulled years ago. We haven't learned anything. We have learned nothing, as far as, what it is. And they just want to, eliminate the history. I mean, you get a guy who has music set to World War II footage, and he's getting banned on YouTube. I have my brother. He's a DJ, and he goes on Facebook, and he likes to show little clips, because he's in the business, and he's been in the business a long time. He at one point in his career, he was one of the big DJs in New York City. He's making a comeback. And he's working at two bars up in New York, upstate a little bit, in the Bronx territory. And basically, he puts the video up, and in just a couple minutes, and Facebook just like freaking just mutes the whole thing. There's fair use, and now YouTube wants to change the fair use rules. You can't change the fair use rules because they're federal fair use rules. If you use a little snippet, DJs use music in all different fashions on there. He's trying to show people having a good time at a club. If I'm at a wedding and I'm dancing in the music, do you mute those? I want to see that. I mean, if you out there, folks, if you've put up a wedding video, a party video that you've been muted on Facebook or you've been clipped on by YouTube, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know, because basically I hear this happens to a lot of we're there as well. So comment below. Tell me what you think of this situation. Let me know. Subscribe, like, support, share. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Man with a Show on Q2Cast TV. We got one more coming later this evening, so stay tuned.